What is it that keeps you up at night, Mr. General Manager or dealer? What are those things that just torque you? Now, I've got to tell you, as I get an opportunity to go to so many stores, because I've been going to stores for a long time. I spent my whole career going to stores, either in retail or traveling to dealerships where buy airplanes and trains and automobiles. And I've got to get that what probably torques me more than anything else is cetosis. And the reason it torques me is because the people paying my paychecks have to pay for cetosis. So what's cetosis? Cetosis is when you hire a manager and they go to the desk and they find this great computer and they sit at the seat and that's where they spend their whole day. What's cetosis? When they're not spending any time really developing people. I've got this book behind me. It's called The 5 Levels, if I can grab it here, The 5 Levels of Leadership. And this is a book by John Maxwell where he really talks about the levels of leadership within any business. And what's cool about it is I've got a test, and if you hit me up, I'll send the test to you, where it'll ask you certain questions, and then you can rate yourself on 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And I'll kind of go from 5 down. I'm not going to break out every one of them. But the level 5 leader is the leader who leaves a legacy and develops other leaders. I mean, that's the ultimate level. I posted last week on social media that great leaders don't have followers. Great leaders develop leaders. I mean, if you think about it, isn't that really what it's about? But what happens is in our business, in the automobile business, we hire managers. We never really train them how to be leaders. Now, don't hang up. Here's the reality. They might be great at generating revenue. You and I know that we hired them because we want them to generate revenue. And yet what we also know, the top performing businesses, forget the car business a minute, but top performing businesses have loyalty and culture in their organizations. And because of that, they've got people that are all on the same song sheet. And the results are huge profits. If you and I are just focusing on profits and we're not focusing on our people or developing our people, it's a recipe for disaster. That's all there is to it. Because sooner or later, we will not have a bench. We won't have people to put in the next role. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone into dealerships where somebody gets promoted and they don't know anything about how to be a good leader. They might know how to close a car deal because they were great closers. They might know how to generate revenue because the guy next to them taught them. And they might be pretty good on the phone because they did it themselves. But that doesn't mean that they can teach, coach, and develop people. That's a skill, man. And if you think about it, how many times have we promoted people from one level to another level and they're just not ready? Or we want to develop our leaders, but they already have cetosis, and it's really pretty tough once they have cetosis to develop as leaders because they're so busy generating revenue. Kind of a tough place to be in. So as we said with this 5 levels book, level 5 was developing leaders, leaving a legacy. Number 4 is developing people, training people, and teaching people and coaching people. That's level 4. And part of that is really spending time with people every week doing one-on-ones, really making sure that we've got a training program in place. Now, this isn't just for the car business. This is any business. Now, what I find usually happens when I give the test out, a high-performing manager will usually get to level 2, probably level 3, but level 4, when it's really about training, developing people, it's not happening. And then that, of course, if level 4 isn't happening, then they're certainly not leaving a legacy. They're not bringing in other leaders behind them. So what's the solution? Well, I think the solution is get really, really clear with what it really means, first of all, to be a manager within our organizations. What's it mean? What's it mean to be a well-rounded manager? What's it mean to be a coach? See, you and I have different roles in a dealership or any business, right? So let's talk about some of those roles. Manager. A manager manages tasks. A manager is a revenue producer. A manager gets things done. I was talking to that same general manager that I was telling you about earlier, and he was talking about he had one manager that's great with people and another one that wasn't so great with people, but man, he could get the tasks done. And I've got to tell you, from, I don't know, maybe stupidity, maybe immaturity, back in the old days, I used to believe that everybody had to be just like me. And the problem with that is we all high-fived each other. We had a lot of fun, but we had paperwork everywhere, and we weren't getting anything done. Oh, yeah, we closed car deals, but we were lousy listeners and lousy at following through. Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. When I got smarter as a leader, I realized I needed to have people next to me that complemented my strengths, and I need to be able to complement theirs too. And that's one thing, if you've watched any of our videos on Auto Mastery Group or on YouTube, I've been recently talking about the DISC behavior assessment, and I love that because it really allows me to know me better, but it also allows me to know my fellows better. So if I've got somebody over there that is more of a, what we call a C, who's more task oriented than maybe I am, that's a person I need to hitch my wagon to. And he or she to me, because I'm the person that will jack them up, get them motivated, get them from here to there, absolutely, and close their car deal. So we all have our strengths, hopefully, right? If not, we probably shouldn't be in the business. And yet, what's really important is for you and I to have some kind of a structure on how it looks to be a manager. That's one thing, right? Another role that we play within the dealership, of course, though, is as let's say a trainer. Now, a trainer, by the way, is probably overrated. And I'll tell you that, and that probably surprises you to have me say that. I'm not a trainer. Trainers train dogs. I'm not very good at that. A trainer gives information to the people. They just data dump. And if you've ever been to a bad sales meeting, whether it's a trainer or a sales manager giving it, it's usually one that's 45 minutes, and the manager, even though very bright, is espousing his or her knowledge, and the salespeople are biting their lip because they don't want to look like they're non-cooperative. And then there's the manager that is good at getting everybody involved. That would be what would be called a facilitator. Now, facilitators really are great at giving a little bit of information and then asking questions and getting the crowd to participate. I've got this program called DCR, Direct Coaching Results Training, and it's actually called DRC. I do that all the time, Direct Results Coaching. And what it is direct because it's that store's particular needs, the stuff that keeps their general manager up at night, where we do have results, 25 minutes, where we focus with the people that are in the room, probably 5, 6, or 7, and we ask questions, and we get them involved, and we role play, and we practice. And the result of it being direct, where we're looking right at them, results where there's a certain topic that we're focusing on, and coaching where everybody's involved, the result of that is the people on the learning end of it love it because it's short and sweet and to the point. Now, that brings us to another word that we have within the industry, and that's coaching. The most overrated word in the history of the planet. And maybe more than anything else, it might be the most misunderstood. And what I mean by that is coaching is not Bill Belichick with a whistle in their mouth telling somebody to move from there to there. That's telling somebody to move from there to there. Coaching is to deal with the soul of a person, to really understand who they are. How do we do that? By asking questions, by being non-judgmental, by being a great listener, by having no agenda going in except the agenda of the coachee, of the person on the other side. So that if as a coach, let's say I'm a manager, but I'm also a coach, and I can get in front of my people asking them questions and then they come up with the answer, the result is then they own it. I love this saying. A man or woman convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. Coaching allows you to pull out what their opinion is so they own it, and a great coach will drive the behavior. Not lead it, but lead it down the path that works best for the person involved. See, I can help somebody sell 20 cars a month, and they might fight me, but if I ask them certain questions, they're probably going to have that aha moment where they're going to say, that makes sense. If they own it, then they do it. Make sense? Okay. So that's really what you and I get. That if I'm going to be a manager, I better be a, trainer to a point, but I better be a great coach because I have to ask great questions. Another thing that obviously managers do is they're great leaders. Now, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is getting people from here to there. Leadership is helping knowing what they want and guiding them to get there. That's leadership. Leadership is people going to war for you. And what's interesting about that is leadership is developing other leaders. Not selling the book, just telling you. So, hey, as you think about this, think about how do I make sure that I'm developing my people in the best way possible? It certainly isn't by zero training. You've got to do something. And it's not by zero coaching. You've got to do something. And it's not just by directing them. That's called directing them. There's some skill sets involved, isn't there? As you and I go along and as you become a part of the Auto Mastery group, we will really deep dive into how we can help you become not just a good manager, but also a great leader, coach, trainer, facilitator within that dealership. Something to think about, isn't it? In the meantime, ask yourself, what are some questions I can ask my people to change their behavior? And 3 I love is this. Number 1, what did you do right today, Bob? Susie, what did you learn today? Hey, Jamie, if there's one thing you have to change, what would that one thing be? When you get people to start thinking, you create a staff, you create a culture, and you change results. Hey, we'll see you next time on Auto Mastery University and Auto Mastery Group.